All right, we'd like to welcome Marcus Peterson today, professional football player. Marcus, welcome.
How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Well,
All the
thank
way
you.
from Los Angeles, California.
Thank you for being here. So, no, tell us who you are.
Well, my name is Marcus Peterson. I'm originally reside from Los Angeles, California, born and raised. I went to undergrad in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and also did my graduate in London, England. I had opportunity with Jacksonville Jaguars first, and then signed later, a couple weeks later, to the Los Angeles Chargers. A year later to the Los Angeles Chargers. I own a my own apparel company, which is called MP Motivational Apparel Brand, I'm Marcus Peterson, so it's my motivational apparel brand, which I started the day after I signed with the Chargers in summer 2018. I also model for LA Models, and just a young guy, just ambition, putting my foot in in a lot of different baskets. So just excited what God has for me next, and where I'll be playing.
And I like how you're sort of right away explaining how you have football, you're a model, but you also have your own business. And I feel that a lot of student athletes come out of high school, going to college, and the lucky ones that go into pro, they're unprepared on their next steps in their journey because, like, even when you make it to that pro level, it doesn't guarantee that for the next 10 years, you're like pro. So, I want you to take us through end of high school, college, pro. What was your game plan for opening your own business, also being a model, and playing pro sports? Like, how are you able to do all of that, and why are you doing it?
I just had breakfast with my advisor yesterday, and we spoke about it. And I think the difference between a lot of people is like, when you go from high school to college to pro, and if you're like ranked and you're spoiled and you're kind of just under hierarchy from a young age, and then when a bombshell hits you, you kind of just are a fish out of sea. You kind of don't know too much of what to do. So my story, I've always been like an underdog, meaning like I had to go out and get everything. So my perspective on things are a little different. I've kind of built more armadillo skin due to the fact of getting rejected so many times, which obviously now to this day I respect it and understand it because now it shaped me for who I am now. I didn't develop this mindset until, like, at first I was always basketball, like I said. I didn't start playing football till 10th grade of high school, and I didn't start playing 11-man football until college. So I remember my best friend, he was about 2 grades above me, so he went to Oregon and he transferred to a Division II school that I ended up going to because I thought it was just going to be fun, like hanging out, going to college, different state with him and other friends. So I didn't get serious about it until I think my junior year. I started working out with NFL quarterbacks and receivers, and then I started getting really good. And I remember a receiver and a DB asked me, like, what team do you play for, like professional team? I said, oh, no, I'm going to my junior year. Oh, okay, nice. Yeah, good routes and just, keep doing what you need to do, blah, blah, blah. So I think that's what really sparked it the most is when it was like a confused question, but that's what really like it instilled in me that I can do this and I have the talent to do it. So after that, my college years didn't pan out the way I wanted it to, as far as on the football field, but that steered me in the direction of which I am now. So I am grateful that it didn't happen the way I wanted to because it just built more hunger and more drive. So ultimately, I had a workout with the Cleveland Browns coming out of college with the VP of the Browns at the time and Hugh Jackman at the time. So they came down here to Orange County and they worked me out, and they liked what I portrayed on the field with no helmets and no shoulder pads, but I needed more game film. So they said, we just need to get more film and then we can probably revisit. So I said, okay. So then I was talking to my agent at the time, but after I didn't get drafted or get invited to the combine, he kind of just, was honest and said, there's really nothing I can do for you. So I was kind of on a whim on my own. So I just knew I had to get film. Like, that was the main thing. So I got an opportunity that May, because I graduated in May. So I got an opportunity on Facebook. This coach from Europe hit me up and said, hey, do you want to come play football in Europe? And so now I'm kind of running out of options because, like, the was it the AAF arena, whatever, folded at the time, so it's 2017. So I was like, I need to do something. I was working at USC and I was about to get fired from my job. It was like a little part time, when you come out of college. So I said, man, I've never been to England. I need to get game film. That was the only thing on my mind, game film. But he said, there's an upside. There's a twist. He said, in order to play, you have to do schooling. So I just finished my post. So he said, you can do, my undergrad. He said, you can do any course for postgraduate. And I said, okay, whatever. All I was thinking about was just film. I didn't really think too much about the school. I just thought, I just finished, so I'm still in school mode. So I said, okay, whatever. Just film. That's the only thing on my mind. So I went out, and then I was rudely awakened. Like, the process of going overseas was just so insane. Like, going on vacation is a different mode than living somewhere. Like, when it comes to visas and passports and clearance, it's just a whole nother ball game. It was very stressful. But anyways, to fast forward from there, I got good film. I obtained my MBA in Global Business Finance, which was literally the hardest year and best year of my life. So literally from 0 to 100 in both aspects of the scale. So after that, I had a goal of how many touchdowns, yards, and catches I wanted. So I attained that goal. So I got recognition from the Jacksonville Jaguars. So then I had to work out with them for rookie minicamp. And then after that, came back home, and the Chargers wanted to work me out a week later because Mike Williams, who was just getting drafted from Clemson, he got hurt or something like that. So I went out, worked out. So I didn't get signed, but they kept me on their radar. So revisited a year. That next February, they wanted to work me out again, but I was playing arena football like for the first week. And they called my agent, and he was like, well, yeah, just have him stay there, get some game film, whatever. So I took it on a whim. I said, I don't want to be out here and get hurt just in case they call again. So I went back home, train. And then they called me that July, and then I signed. So it just, the mantra of just being persistent, being self-driven, is really the keys of just like my plan A is what my mantra is for my apparel brand is 100% focus on plan A, stay persistent, improve yourself, right? Those are the things that my plan A, obviously, like I said, was the NFL. And to be honest with you, 95% of why I wanted to make it to the NFL is because I was told I couldn't. Like that's why I said, like, if my college year is playing out the way I wanted it to, as far as like playing, then I wouldn't care too much. So it was just ordained that I needed to go through turmoil to get to paradise. So it just worked out in God's plan.
Oh, that's great. Now, one thing there is like you had a different path than a lot of players that are playing in the NFL. So your experience playing overseas, what did you find was like the biggest, whether it was a culture difference or biggest difference in the actual game? Because, you go different places in the world from football, hockey, basketball, and the game is almost completely different.
Yeah.
What would you say were the biggest differences that you had to really improve your game to be able to have that chance to make it to the NFL like you did?
Well, the level of talent was a little different. Obviously, the main focus here is football, baseball, basketball. But that's just kind of like just a hobby. There, it was more of I see it on TV and it's a hobby type thing. So the level of competition, the level of seriousness, the level of, just drive, like how for AAU, everyone like wants to be like Kobe. So they like, everybody's focused, So there it's kind of just like a hobby type thing. So I think for me, I needed to just stay focused and not get distracted. But it was very a humbling experience. And they tell me all the time, because I still have a lot of lifelong friends that I still speak with. It's like having someone that has the American base for the sport drove them and made them like the sport even more, because now it's more hands-on rather than just YouTube or just, TV. So kind of like my spirit and the other like three American spirit of just how serious it is in the States kind of just made a domino effect on everyone else. So I think just staying focused because like I said, I had a goal of what I needed to obtain as far as records, because like over there you have to have outrageous numbers in order to like get notified. So I knew I needed to have outrageous numbers, but I just needed to stay focused. But the thing was, it was not just the football; it was getting an NBA too. So I think that's the biggest difference of me and other like professional athletes, because I did it kind of backwards. Normally, society, you get a job, you go to school, get a job, you retire, and you vacation. But I literally kind of did it backwards. I got my MBA first. I literally traveled the world, and then I went to NFL. So it's kind of like it was cool and humbling, because I grew so much more as an individual, as a man, to now going to that business. Because like when you're young, you hear all these stories about all these people, but when you're young and you get that much of a platform, it can bombard you in levels that you just can't imagine, because it's just so much with the media, people. It's just so much that your mind really is not prepared for. So I'm glad I went that way, because I was more mentally stable to bring on that type of impact.
So a couple things there I actually want to ask you about. Normally, I would talk about from your grassroots level all the way up, but I want to focus on, you talked about the media there. So you're young, right? You're not like, how old are you exactly?
26.
26. So as an NFL player, you're still like, even if you would have came fresh out of college, would have been about maybe your third year, fourth year.
Yeah.
So you're still young, and if you're a healthy wide receiver, you got a long career left. But the big thing there is, like you said, like the media can, really get wrapped up. So what do you find when you look at other teammates and the younger guys on the team? How do you find the media affect them? And if I was a high school student, what would be your advice to handling media at any level?
Not just on sports, on any aspect. You have to have self-love. You have to. Everything starts with self. I kind of found myself when I was 9 years old. So it's like I understood self-control, my thoughts, my mind, my perception on things first. So not just even sports, anything. If you wake up, you have to understand that everything starts within first. So regardless of media, situations, rejection, fame, money, life situations, tragedies, everyone deals with things differently. So for me, I think it's really pivotal how mental health and just knowing who you are and self-love is so key, because like I said, with that type of platform, you can get thrown in the ocean super duper fast. And you hear it all the time in the music industry. Unfortunately, people, get this fame, and then they go to all these alterations of fads of life of, either they go through unfortunate situations, but it's just because they were so overwhelmed of not being grounded in self, or, whatever, a higher being, that it swallows them. So when you're swayed too much, you don't have a foundation, then in any industry that can deter you. So I think, especially with, let's say for my profession, you have to be grounded, because with now the difference between college and NFL is you're like, there's a million receivers, there's a million O linemen, there's a million quarterbacks. And it's not even now to 2020. Now it's like, it's not even just America, USA colleges. It's people in Brazil, it's people in Africa, it's people in China. So now you're competing against literally everybody in the world. So your mindset has to be focused on that, because if you let all the other distractions deter you, there's another guy cheaper that's probably better. You know what I'm saying? So it's like understanding that it's such an unstable profession that you don't have time to kind of be distracted, if that makes sense.